Hello and welcome to Sports News Africa, the home of Africa's sporting conversation. Let's take a look at the headlines. Egypt's hopes to host the 2017 finals hang in the balance in the wake of the latest violence. And Ghana's Black Stars remain on course to qualify for the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations. Thank you for joining me, Timeskin Debesai, on Sports News Africa. The Africa Cup of Nations tournament could be moved to another country as Morocco has asked for the games to be postponed to 2016 due to fears over the Ebola epidemic. The Confederation of African Football says the tournament will go ahead as scheduled, even if that means choosing a different venue. South Africa and Ghana are believed to have been approached by CAF to see whether they would be prepared to host the 2015 tournament if Morocco decided to withdraw. Morocco's information minister, however, has denied reports that his country has withdrawn from hosting the games. Kennedy Makambira is a former media officer at CAF, and he joins us now to discuss the situation. Kennedy, the Moroccans are denying withdrawing, but at the same time, CAF is inquiring about a possible venue switch. What do you think is going on behind the scenes right now?
Most definitely, there is some discussions going on as we speak due to the fact that the Moroccans have asked for a postponement of the tournament for the risks posed by Ebola. So CAF, having not postponed or cancelled the tournament since 1957, are discussing and looking at ways of making sure this record remains intact.
Give us a sense of how powerful CAF is in its dealings with football bodies and governments.
CAF has got a very good working relationship with most governments on the continent and works hand in hand with African Union, which is the mother body on the continent. So even as we speak, there would be quite a number of people from various governments trying to talk to both CAF and the Moroccans, as well as potential other governments that could step in the event that Morocco is not able to host the tournament. So yes, CAF will use its leverage on the continent to make sure that the tournament takes place.
Now, the competition has never been moved before. In your opinion, what will it take to move it to a different venue?
Beyond the World Health Organization, WHO, advising against a gathering of people such as happens at a tournament like Afcon, I personally don't see how this tournament could be postponed or cancelled. It will have to take the experts in the medical field advising against such a gathering for a decision of that matter to take place.
And is there any other country that's ready to host a tournament in place of Morocco?
There are probably a handful of countries that could step in at the late hour, so to speak. But the main criteria for that would really be two issues, so to speak. Firstly, what is the risk factor for that particular country that wants to take over from the Moroccans, especially if the Moroccans themselves have done their study and found out that the spread of Ebola will be a factor. And why would a country want to do that? And then secondly, it comes down to financing the tournament. It costs scores or dozens of millions of dollars to host the tournament. So is there a country in the government prepared to do that? There might be one or two, just as CAF has been said to have contacted the Ghanaians and the South Africans. They will be able to probably host a tournament at that 11th hour. But as I said, it comes down to what exactly is the reason why the Moroccans cannot hold it and who would take up that risk, and why would they do that?
Now, before you go, Kennedy, some members of CAF have had a turbulent time with bans, suspensions and off-the-field issues. How do you think CAF has addressed these issues?
Generally, CAF tends to play within the rules of its statutes, regulations, and the competition rules. It's an area where they are working to improve. Recently, for instance, a case in example when a Cameroonian player was killed during a match in Algeria, they were very quick to condemn violence, and they came out with a punishment for the club in question, where they will not be playing for 2 seasons in the stadium or in front of fans. So CAF is working very hard and improving on its disciplinary code. But of course, there's been some dissatisfaction in the past, but when it comes, for instance, to a big tournament like Afcon, which is their flagship tournament, all sort of players and government bodies concerned, FAs, tend to come together with CAF to make sure that the flagship tournament takes place. But it's an area CAF is working to improve.
Okay, Kennedy, thank you for speaking to Sports News Africa. Meanwhile, the hopes of one of the bidders for the 2017 Games in the same competition might be up for scrutiny. Egypt is one of a number of nations that are bidding to host the Cup of Nations in 3 years' time. But violence, which marred their latest qualifiers game against Botswana, will not have done their credentials any good.
Just 1 month after a domestic ban was lifted to allow football fans in Egypt to watch local league matches in the stadiums, violence broke again on Wednesday during the country's 2015 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier match against Botswana. The violence, which saw 30 people arrested for launching fireworks in the second half of the game, could have jeopardized Egypt's chances of hosting the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations, which they are bidding for. 3 years ago, deadly violence broke out at the Port Said Stadium in Port Said City during an Egyptian Premier League match, leaving 72 people dead, prompting a government ban on fans in stadiums to watch local league games. However, international matches were an exception. Abdel Ahmed, a football fan in Cairo, believes that the ban on fans in stadiums should be upheld until proper security measures are put in place.
I think it was an attempt by some fans to deliver a certain message, but they did so in a wrong way. We are living in a chaotic situation since the revolution broke out, and the government is not able as yet to control it. Therefore, this is the result. We will not be able to allow fans into stadiums again during the games.
Ironically, Egypt won the match against Botswana by 2-0, leading fans like Mohamed Amer to believe that the violence was orchestrated by individuals who want to cause instability in the country.
بس أنا زعلان جدا من الجماهير اللي جت عملت رسالة مش كويسة وإحنا وقفنا معاهم.
I'm so angry at these fans who delivered a tough message. We have supported both of them, police and army, and we will keep on that. Whatsoever those bad fans did, Egypt will stay safe.
Nader Khalid, also a football fan, praised the security forces for effectively managing Wednesday's riots.
The match was almost good. Our players did their best and they were good. We will qualify for the finals, God willing. I would like to send a thanks message to the policemen and the Minister Mohamed Ibrahim, and thanks to everyone whom worked hard to maintain security over there.
After the incident, the Egyptian Football Association will now have to do what it takes to convince the Confederation of African Football that it is capable of hosting a safe and secure 2017 Afcon tournament. Currently, Egypt's performance in the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers is not so impressive. The Pharaohs are third in Group G with 6 points, Tunisia leading with 10 points, Senegal second with 7 points, and Botswana is last with no point. The North African nation could also be a potential host for the 2015 Afcon tournament should Morocco pull out due to fears of the Ebola virus. Should they be awarded hosting rights by CAF, Egypt will receive direct nomination, which will disregard the 2 remaining matches against Tunisia and Senegal. The Egyptians are expected to play Senegal at home next month, and it is not clear whether fans will be allowed into the stadiums.
Coming up after the break on Sports News Africa. The Black Stars bag a crucial win in the qualifiers while their search for a new manager continues. And speaking of managers, Nigerians have been reacting to the sacking of Stephen Keshi. All that is still to come. See you after the break. Having won only once in their first 3 games in the qualifiers, Ghana's Black Stars bagged another 3 points in midweek, which saw them catapulted to the top of Group E. Victory places Ghana on course to qualify for the tournament if they can keep the momentum going.
The fans gathered in their numbers around every single available TV screen in Accra to watch their national side, the Black Stars, lock horns with Guinea in the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. The 30,000-seat stadium in Tamale, some 435 kilometers north of Accra, where the match was played, was filled to capacity, prompting giant screens to be set up in various parts of the country, particularly in Accra. The kickoff saw goals from striker Asamoah Gyan, Andre Ayew and Emmanuel Agyemang push Ghana to reclaim its glory. Ghanaian fans like Alhaji Manaf welcomed the victory but said the team still needs to streamline its attacking tactics in order to remain relevant in the tournament.
You know, the Black Stars, they did well the first half, but the second half, they didn't play anything. But I hope that the next match they'll play better.
Our midfield is not good, the defense too is not good. So I will advise the GFA to go back and call Sule Muntari and Co, because we need them. Without them, Black Stars, we can't see anything.
Well, Maximo Kunedu has proven a very good coach for some time. But then I still think he needs more. He needs to do more to establish himself as a coach. So I think bringing in a new coach will do, so that he understands the coach. Then for some time he can take over.
Wednesday's victory leapfrogs Ghana to the top of Group E with 8 points. Togo is now second with 6 points, while Guinea and Uganda tie each with 3 points.
When Ivory Coast travelled to the Democratic Republic of Congo on Saturday and secured a hard-fought 2-1 away win, it might have been safe to assume that the Elephants would have less of a struggle to complete the double on their Congolese opponents in the return leg. But Abidjan was silenced by the visiting Congolese contingency as they went on to humble their hosts, who were reduced to 10 men through a sending-off.
The Democratic Republic of Congo humbled the Ivory Coast with a 4-3 win in Abidjan to deny the home side early passage to the 2015 finals of the Africa Cup of Nations. Ivory Coast conceded 4 goals for the second time in 3 games, as they wiped out a 2-goal deficit with 10 men, only to be beaten by a late goal. Franck Keshi was red-carded just after half-time, with his team trailing 3-1, but a brace from former Chelsea striker Salomon Kalou restored equality. A Congolese side, desperate to avenge a 2-1 home defeat by the Ivorians 4 days earlier, never gave up, and Jeremy Bokila scored his second goal a minute from time.
The Elephants were below average. We cannot really trust them if we look at their performance, but we can see that they still have the means to climb back, and that gives hope to the supporters. At the end of the day, it's always the same thing. We sit here doing our calculations at the last moment. What a pity.
It is true that we are disappointed. We are very, very disappointed. I think we had done the hard part in Kinshasa, and the goal was to not lose, especially not lose because we knew that here it would not be straightforward. But I think now we must remain optimistic. The objective is to qualify. We know it's going to be hard, it will be difficult, but we still have faith and really hope to qualify.
Quand vous avez 6 points en 2 matchs et qu'il reste 2 matchs, c'est possible.
When you have 6 points from 2 games and have 2 games left, it's all possible. So you shouldn't go down the road of fatalism and defeatism. We should be concerned, but not today. It's for a few months' time, so hang on. In football, as I said earlier, there are very, very difficult times. This is part of Ivorian football.
Période très très difficile. Celle-là en fait partie pour le football ivoirien.
C'est un exploit parce que au vu de la physionomie du
It is an achievement because if you take into account the first game, we had created some good chances. And we came here, as you can see from the first 3 goals we scored, with a lot of audacity. As the coach said, this is a group that is young. We came and we tried. We knew that if we attacked, we could hurt this Ivory Coast team. So I would say that it is a preparation. We really prepared for the first 2 away games with the coach and we got our reward. But as the coach said, there are many areas that must be improved.
Il faut perfectionner.
Mais aujourd'hui,
Today, the key word that I had for my players was on a psychological level. It was not to die out there. If we lost, it was over, so we did not want to die today. We wanted to stay in the race for qualification, a very difficult group. For qualification, that will be decided on the final day. So that's my big satisfaction, that we didn't go out today.
Donc, c'est ça ma grosse satisfaction, c'est de ne pas être...
You're watching Sports News Africa. Time for another break now, but when we come back. Nigeria's latest win was followed by the coach sacking. Fans have been reacting to the move. And in cricket, the Cape Cobras have started their campaign to defend their Momentum One-Day Cup. See you after the break. Nigeria sacked Stephen Keshi as national team coach despite his side's home win against Sudan that kept them in the running to defend their African title. The Nigeria Football Federation said after an emergency meeting that former coach Shaibu Amodu would take temporary charge. Speculation about Keshi's future had refused to go away since the end of the World Cup finals in Brazil, where Nigeria reached the knockout stages of the competition.
It didn't come as a shock, but the sudden sacking of Nigeria's Super Eagles head coach Stephen Keshi just after winning a crucial 2015 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier match against Sudan has elicited mixed reactions from fans and sports analysts. Newspaper headlines in Abuja screamed out the sacking with titles like "Keshi must go," fans, which attracted groups of morning readers on street corners. Coach Keshi and his two assistants were relieved of their duties on Wednesday night by the Nigerian Football Federation, who have instead appointed former Super Eagles coach Shaibu Amodu to take charge of the squad until an international coach is appointed.
I'm not happy about the sack of our honorable coach of the Super Eagles. You know, this is a man that he has put in so much effort to make sure that globally the Super Eagle is well recognized with good name. You understand? Despite his efforts, and for us to wake up this morning and hear that this humble man has been sacked.
In my own opinion is, I think the man he has tried, but I think it's time for him to go. He has made a lot of mistakes, which he refused correction. And if you as a coach, if you believe if you believe in your own idea alone, you can't go far.
Nigeria remains third in the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying Group A with 4 points, while South Africa tops the group with 8. Congo is second with 7 points and Sudan is last with just 3 points. The implications of Keshi's sacking is something yet to be felt in the Super Eagles, but their next match will surely indicate if he has been the problem in the team.
But there has been some good news for Nigeria as the women's team have cruised into the African Women's Championship semi-finals in Namibia with a 6-0 drubbing of Zambia. Hosts Namibia lost 3-1 to Ivory Coast. On Friday, Namibia will play Nigeria next in their final group match. The Nigerian women's team is one of the favorites to go on and win the competition. And the English Premier League will be back this weekend following the 2-week-long international break. In the early lunchtime kickoff on Saturday, defending champions Manchester City will welcome Tottenham to the Etihad Stadium, with retired England international Frank Lampard looking to add to the 8 goals he scored against Spurs during his 13 years at Chelsea. Arsenal host Hull City, and Arsene Wenger's side will be hoping to bounce back from their 2-0 loss to pace-setters Chelsea before the international break. Chelsea, on the other hand, travel to Crystal Palace, eager to extend their lead at the top of the table. Another one to watch will be Everton v Aston Villa, as the Toffees continue to struggle to find their form, while Villa find themselves sitting just inside the top half of the pile. Sunday sees Liverpool travel to London to play Queen's Park Rangers. They are still languishing in the relegation zone. The other match on Sunday sees Stoke City play Swansea. And on Monday, Louis van Gaal's Manchester United will be at West Bromwich Albion for the late evening kickoff. And that's the end of Sports News Africa for today. Join us again next time for all the latest from Africa and around the world. Bye for now.